What's up, everybody? This is a Sparrow with a Gun from Sleepless Nights with another episode of How to Train Your Turtle. And I would like to show you this. Ta-da! Sorry. Oh yeah, and my mic's on this time. Go me! Didn't forget to turn my mic on. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about how to do this, which is awesome. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out. First off, I've been working with this a lot. I did end up reworking some of the structure on how to do it. The turtle script out here, where the analyzed bees go, not that different. There are a few tweaks to it, but I should have a copy of that on my big screen upstairs. So I should be able to go over that as well. I did alter this a little bit. I added another computer here. Basically, this thing's whole job is to periodically check the RedNet signal and wait till it gets one from the turtle. When it does, this is a disk drive, which it basically copies the database from here to here, and then this recycles and starts looking again, and then this computer uses this database. Now, I've been working a lot with how to make this periodically update every time it pulls this list that's on this disk drive. And it works, but not really the way that I wanted it to. The way I wanted it to was just periodically you would just notice this shift because more bees came in or a different species or whatever and shifted the list. But it doesn't really work that way. What I have done is, like, all you'd have to do is click it and then hit a button to scroll. Right now I have it scripted for the up and down arrow keys. So you just press one of those once, and then it would trip this and update it if there was updates to the database to be made. Not a big deal, but I haven't quite figured out a good way to get it to where it would just update automatically. And it's weird because I thought I had, like, looking at the script-wise, it looked like it should update periodically, but it just doesn't until you activate it with a key. And I found a way to do it, but it would end up separating the key presses, which would kind of mess the whole thing up. So I ended up just saying, screw it, that's good enough that I can just tap the keys if I want to update the screen or whatever. Not that big a deal. So, to show you what I mean, there is no Viz drone in the list. I believe farmed is the top at the moment. Oh, and one important thing to note, there's still probably going to be updates to this, as I have not organized it by alphabet or anything, as you can see. I have plans to do that, but it was going to be a whole nother long drawn out process, I think. So I just wanted to do a couple episodes or however many it takes to explain what's going on here. Okay, so Imperial Diligent looks like the top, as you can see. Yep, no Viz, ends on Invincible. So I was just holding the down arrow key, and you can see Invincible is now up here, so valuable and glowering. So no Viz, right? Okay. And I believe I've written the startup scripts for everything, so they should just be running. I also need to rework this system a bit for bees like this that have already been analyzed, because when you throw them in here, it just whoop, and if you have 3 or 4 of them that do that, this pipe gets bottled up and it tries to put things in here and it can't. So there's that, there's that. Oh crap, I didn't mean to do that. Oh well. Now, I don't have the, it's still displaying the table, but I don't have the, yeah, I know what I'm thinking. I don't have the timer script showing anymore, but it basically will wait roughly about 30 seconds. It's 30 counters, but I don't know that it's entirely accurate. And you'll see this means it's waiting. This will go off in a few seconds. When that goes off, it means this received a signal, and it converts it to string or whatever. It puts it onto the disk here, and then this goes, I think, sleeps for 30 seconds. I did it that way. I mean, you don't have to. I just did it that way so it wasn't always looking for a RedNet receive call. To be honest, I don't know. Oh, there it goes. So now, again, you won't notice a direct, like this didn't shift or anything, but now if I were to hit a key, you'll notice that the order changed, which is the way NVIS has been added with one drone. So it works, and it works well, actually. And Industrious is the bottom at the moment, and you may notice that now there's 3 under Industrious instead of 1 because now there's another additive to the table. Now, at the moment, the way this is set up, again, it's not alphabetized, so, and we use the 4-pair to print this stuff, so it doesn't end up coming out all alphabetized. I'm still working on how to do that accurately. I'm still kind of working out the logic in my head. And at the moment, this spacing system was just, I found one of these dual hybrids that had a really, I think it was bauxite tarnished, had like a really long list of characters, and I just went a couple out from there and made that the gold standard for how far to print it. But as you can see, there's room over here, so you could move this over a little bit if you ran into a bigger species name. And I tried to give enough space for large numbers, because as if any of you have been watching our Feed the Bee series and know how many bees I have, it won't be long until these go way out here and stuff for drone types, especially with like the valuable and diligent stuff that I have running like 24/7. Alright, so I'm going to cut real quick, and then we're going to go up to the big screen where I have all of these copies of these scripts stored, and we can go over exactly how it works. Be back in a second. Okay, and we're back with the lovely big old touchscreen here. This is the analyze script run on the Turtle. Most of this is largely the same as in our other episodes. Or chapters, I guess. I think all that's pretty much the same. Return string, get species, return string. All these should be on Pastebin anyway, just in case. Oh, this is the one thing that I added, is after the species check, which you all know what that is, I explained it before. I did add this part, which if the substring is equal to bSpecies dot, which again, this starts at the first coordinate here and then goes, what is it, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 is the dot. And for those of you that don't know, string.sub is the substring method of the string type command. This is different than declaring something as a string. This is actually using a function within the string type, and then you give it what string you want to divide, which in this case is the str we're using to store the species, and then it says from coordinate 1 or character 1 to the 13th character within this string becomes the new substring. So if the substring is equal to this, it means, because I think I've showed before, sometimes the bees, when you, like, I think it's industrial, I know diligent does this, is instead of just saying diligent under the species, like Rocky and all those, it'll say b.species. Whatever. I think that has to do with the way the mods are set up, that some of the added bees and stuff do that too. So if the substring is equal to that, then it stores in string, it says string, then our string that's holding the species is equal to, okay, now this is a little tricky. String.upper, which string.upper makes whatever is within its parentheses, which would be here and here, uppercase, right? Because again, if it does this, then diligent or whatever will be lowercase. There won't be a cap. And for formatting, I preferred it to be a cap. So what this does is it says string.upper, and then it does a substring again and only uses the 14th character, 14 to 14, which basically where this quote mark would be in str, our species string here, would be the 14th character, which should be the first letter of the species. It'll be .species.diligent, so that should be the D on character 14. So it's making a substring of just that letter. There are other ways that I think you can do this. This was just the quickest way. I was in the moment, and this is just what I thought to do. If there's a better way or a shorter way, feel free. I'm not saying that this is the only or the best or anything. This is all just, and I don't even know if this particular format of all of this scripting is even the best, like most efficient way to do it. It's simply, I just followed the logic process, and this is just what I arrived at, and it works. That's all I can say. It works. I don't know that it's the most efficient, best way, least complex. There may be a much more simple way to do it. This is just what I know how to do. So you make a substring of just the character of the D, and then this will convert it to upper. So it'll be an uppercase D, and then you concatenate another substring with the original species string from 15. So if this were diligent, 15 would be the I, like I-L-I-G, you know, that stuff. Skips the D. And from 15 to the end of the string. So basically, in short, it takes the first letter of the species, capitalizes it, and then connects it with the remaining string that's left in the original, and then adds it back into str. So str now is equal to simply diligent with a capital D. And with species secondary, I think I explained this check before. To see if it's a secondary string or not. I did declare a second one in this. I changed that up a little bit for displaying purposes, because then what I did here is, assuming all this is accurate, then it's going to store the second species, so then it has to format it, and this is basically the exact same thing. It's just storing it to second string. So now at this point, say you have a diligent meadow, but they both come out with this bee species thing, right? What it's basically going to do, oh, and this is a good point, is that it stores the species in second string, and then down here it says string equals string concatenate dash concatenate second string. So even if second string doesn't have this bee thing and it's just Rocky, and there is no bee.species, it's still going to connect them together. And same up here. This is an if here. So if this is not equal to it, then the primary bee species is just Rocky or whatever. And so then it gets down here and it'll still connect them all together. So this is pretty much the exact same thing. It's just working for the secondary species. And then it concatenates them all to the end. I think that's the only real difference that I did. And see, here is where, wait, no. Is it? Yes, maybe. It's this in pair, these in pair loops that I ended up using because of the string indexes. These are what screw up the order of the array, or of the table, because in pairs does not work in numerical order, or alphabetical order for that matter. So it simply goes through basically and just says, if there's something I haven't checked yet, grab the next index kind of thing. And that's where it gets disorganized, and where I'm going to have to work with it a little bit and find out if I can make it to where it's... I'm sure there is a way to make it alphabetized. I just haven't worked with it enough to really figure it out yet. And I've already gone over the add to BeeDabase part. As far as I know, there's a bunch of comments in there. I think I altered the send slightly. Did I? Oh, I can take that part out. That was for debugging. This won't be there in the Pastebin scripts because it's not needed. It's just there for debugging purposes. I wanted to see what it was sending because I was getting some weird results at one point. I did change this loop. Now, this line is very important. If you're running this script for the first time and there is no BeeDabase file on your computer, like it's brand new, the first time you run it, like you're going to put your very first bee into this system, you need to comment this line out by doing 2 dashes. And on an advanced monitor and computer, it'll show you the color change. The reason is this load function to load a file will give you, it'll lock it up if there is no file here. It gives, I forget exactly what error it is. I think it's attempt to index nil or call nil or something like that because this file doesn't exist. And I already have this set up to where if you get here and BDB equals nil, which it's declared up at the top, so at this point it does, it'll just declare it as a table, an empty table, and then add to BeeDabase will do its thing. Oh, I need to explain this part too. But yeah, if you're running this script for the very first time and there is nothing in a BDB file, and I would actually recommend doing it this way, is the very first time you're doing it, do this so that the architecture can set itself up. And then after you've run it once, terminate the loop, go back in and edit this out. Or I mean, basically, I can't see what I'm doing. Is that, no. Okay. Yeah, and then leave it back to that so that then from there on out it can keep cycling it. And really this is mostly here if the computer restarts, mostly. Because if the turtle were to indefinitely stay up and running the entire time, this actually wouldn't be needed because BDB would always be populated. But it's if this were to be terminated or chunk unloads and it has to reboot, you want it to get the information back from the stored database that you've been sending so that you're not just sending one thing at a time. And this is another area where you could change this. You could have more coding on the receiving computer for formatting and adding to and all that stuff, and then just have this set up to where it just sends the species and class every time it gets a bee. I prefer to do it this way. Totally up to you. I do need to explain this part. This was added. What this does is this was all under the ifB function, which analyzed the bee and all that stuff, and if it was equal to a bee type. If it is equal and it goes through all this, it saves the file and then sets false time equal to 0. Otherwise, if b is equal to false, aka there's no b in the b analyzer at the time, false time is equal to false time plus 1, and then it checks if false time is greater than 30. This was what I was meaning, that it's technically, I guess a minute, because there's a sleep 2 command down here, so it's 2 seconds every time this gets updated. So I guess it's actually closer to a minute. So you could change this to 15 if you really wanted it to be 30 seconds, which I will probably end up doing. And then what it does is it loads BDB, the last, because again it saves at the end of every time it adds a new B to it. So if it goes for a minute to 30 seconds, depending on how you have this set, without any kind of B added to it, the sorting system hasn't thrown it any Bs, so on and so forth. Then BDB loads the database and then sets false time to 0 and then calls the send function and sends it to that computer. Now, the reason I did it this way is so that it wouldn't be constantly sending update after update after update every time a B ran through for just one new B type or one updated information. This is basically so that it'll wait 30 seconds and then go, okay, you're done giving me new Bs? Okay, now I'll go ahead and send it to your computer. That's pretty much all that's there for, is just so that it's not sending every single time you get a B and overloading the thingy. Also, what this also does is it'll send, but if the other receiving computer that's set up to the disk drive and all that isn't in its receiving mode and it was in that 30-second sleep period, then this will cycle back. There still won't be a B. It waits 30 seconds, blah, 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 and then sends it again, waits for 30 seconds, sends it again, so on and so forth. So it sends every minute or so. And then the odds are that computer will eventually sync up to where it'll be listening and then it'll get it. So they kind of trade off. But that way, I did it that way just because, you know, I'm running the server on my own computer as well as playing the game with Baseplaya and Adrian and all that stuff. So I didn't want to put unnecessary load on the server for having constant RedNet updates and things like that. So I'm trying to space this out. I may actually extend this a little further to where it updates every 2 minutes, 10 minutes, you know, something like that, and change the one down there to sleep for 5 minutes, or, you know, so it's just not pulsing every 10 seconds or something like that. That's all that's really there for. It's not a big have to. If you want it to update faster, feel free to update that timer, so on and so forth. For now, I think since we're at like 20 minutes or something, I'm going to go into the getBDB. Crap, it's on the disk. I keep forgetting that, but because the actual BDB handler might take a good few minutes, because that's a hefty little program. I dare say it's probably one of the largest I've written. So first off, we set the sender ID to yeah, we set the sender ID to the turtle down at the B analyzer. I'm gonna take this out because I ran into some issues, and I ended up putting it right into the function instead of having separate functions. So on the Pastebin scripts, this commented section won't be here. I just forgot to remove it. So let's see. So the main program is just a while true loop, and it runs the getDB function constantly. And the real meat of the program is right here. And what we're going to do here is run this function. It opens the left side of the RedNet, which, as you saw from that gray computer down there, that's where the RedNet modem is. Also, just a quick side note for all you turtle computer people out there, I noticed in a changelog forum post somewhere that if you are using the Minecraft FTB mod pack like we are, I noticed somewhere that eventually when they do like the 1.6 updates or whatever that are currently, I guess, in beta testing and all that stuff, from what I read, the newer versions of Computercraft make the wireless modems, these things, makes them harder to craft than just 8 stone and a redstone torch. So knowing that, if you have some excess stone and redstone and all that, I highly recommend making quite a few of those. Because I don't know what the new recipe is supposed to be, but just the fact that it's going to be harder, I would just make some excess while they're really cheap. That's just me. It's up to you. Totally optional if you think that it's like more cheaty to do that or whatever. Totally not a problem. Just a heads up though, is from what I've read, the modems are supposed to get harder to craft. I don't know what that entails. It might mean, you know, you use, I don't know, iron instead of stone or something that's not real impactful, but just as a... I think they're going to use ender pearls, actually, come to think of it. Now that I remember, I think that I saw the recipe and it's 8 stone with an ender pearl, so if you don't have a good source of ender pearls, then I would recommend making a bunch of those before you update your mod pack. Just a side note. So anyways, we do local ID message equals rednet receive. For those of you that have followed so far in my series, you know ID is the receptive ID computer, and or the sending ID computer, and message is what it sends. If ID is equal to sender ID, which we showed up at the top is equal to the turtle, then local file equals fs.open disk writing this to the disk because, as you know, the computer's on top, and that's what the other computer uses to access is the disk file. So we're writing directly to the disk. So we open it in write mode, and then file.write, and then you write the message, which should be the database, and then close. I screwed myself up quite a bit, if you'll notice up here, because I had receive a T and then blah 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 and then serialize the T. Well, dummy me, I'm receiving a string already and then you serialize it, which I didn't think would do a whole lot, but apparently it jacks it all up because it was like where the indexes for the array would be like from this quote to this quote, there would be like these slashes right after and before each of these. Like it just messed the whole thing up and it wouldn't read right. So that's why I cut this out and I'm taking the message directly and writing it to a file. And then we close the left side, which closes the red net again, and then sleeps for 30 seconds. So this comes back to it'll pause for 30, wait for that long, and then it recycles again, opens back up, sits on the wait once it gets a message, does all this, closes for 30 seconds again. Again, just to keep the load of the server down, that it's not pulsing, it's not getting red net messages every, every blip. Also, I would like to note, since I don't have really enough time to get into the BeeDB handler, that in ComputerCraft, built in, or at least I think it's built in, yes, Pastebin. So the fact that I'm putting up Pastebin scripts now on these videos, I haven't actually used Pastebin all that much myself, but if you use the help on it, it's a program for uploading files to and file. Oh, I didn't know you could actually upload from here. That's cool. This is useful for sharing programs, other programs. So as an example, you can put Pastebin, put foo, will upload the file foo to pastebin.com and print the URL. I did not know that. But anyways, you can put in Pastebin, get, and then the link. So as you can see here, when I post a Pastebin link on the channel, on our videos here, you can take everything after the slash off of .com here and type in Pastebin, get that link, and then name it whatever. This is foo, but if you want it to be named BeeDB or handler, BeeDB handler, like I've, all these names to keep it to where you know what I'm talking about, that's fine. If you want to name it something else, this is where you would put it. So Pastebin, get the weird link here, and then not here, just to be clear so that nobody gets confused. It's the ones down in the description, the Pastebin links there, but you'll take everything after the com, after the slash com, just like it's done here. And then name it whatever you want, and it will actually download from Pastebin directly to the computer of your choice or whatever, wherever you're downloading it. But you can do it directly from FTB. You don't have to, or Minecraft with a ComputerCraft mod. You don't actually have to go in and copy and make a file and then paste it in manually. You can do it directly from your computer in game, which is pretty cool, and it's one of the main reasons I started uploading Pastebin scripts to the descriptions of the channel or of the videos and stuff, to make it easier on you guys, that you don't have to actually either copy and paste or manually write it or anything like that. You can just be in game and have your YouTube up on the side and go, oh, that's a cool script, and Pastebin, get link thing that you see in the description, and then BeeDB handler, boom, okay, cool, I've got one, neat, that kind of thing. So we're out of time for this episode, so I'm going to wrap this up. I am going to post the analyze script and the getBDB script that we talked about today in the description below. You can find it for Pastebin. Next episode, we'll be talking about the actual handler that displays it. And then in that video, I will post all three, the analyze, get BDB, and then the BDB handler. so that you know which ones are which and which ones we talked about in what episodes and that kind of thing. Again, when I post the final ones, this isn't going to be the end of this script. I'll probably let it sit for a while and go do other projects, but I do intend to come back at some point and alphabetize or organize it a little bit further and see if I can also get it to where it periodically just updates the screen without having to interact with it. If I can fix those two things, then I will definitely like write it off and be like, you know, seal of approval. I'm done with this script. It works now. But I have a couple other scripts in mind that I want to write, so we definitely got some more stuff coming. So I hope you all enjoyed. I hope this helped. Feel free to leave any comments, notes, things that I messed up or could have done better, or any ideas of scripts or anything that you may want to see if I haven't already covered them. You know, I thought it would be cool to have a program that does this, but I don't know how. Feel free to message me or comment those, and I will look into them and see if I can figure out how to crack it. But yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed. Hope this was informative and helpful, and I will see you all next time. Peace!